Hello and welcome. We're back. It's Monday. It is time for Star Wars Ashes. Waving, nice. Crazy maniac. Uh, Episode 18. Salt something something salt, or something something salt side. Maybe that's what it is. We were having troubles with that before the show, so sorry we didn't get on top of our salt titles, but we have something salt side. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you guys are the salty batch, so I mean, right? Um, yeah, yeah. Anyways, quick recap of episode 17, because that had a lot that happened. And this is basically going to be the aftermath of it all. So, maybe the time that people died, maybe it wasn't last session. Maybe we get it this session. Who knows? It's going to be a thing. So the crew were left off with a dilemma. And Mason and Nard were called in to land the Poodoo, begrudgingly. And they did so, and they brought it down. And they looked for Kato or anybody on the Remembrance. Don't find Kato or Lasik. I think you called over. There was a kind of a quick plan that was formed that he had lost Lasik, and they're like, "What the fuck is going on? You're not telling us much." Mason rushes over the meetup with Kato and kind of gets the brief, very sugar coated accounting of things. Well, Nard goes to try to help ascertain, trying to make sure that the Hutts here don't bear down on them, as the Imperials now are shown up and things have started to light up. Kato and Mason barge into Bishop's command room, or like main chambers. They had to blast the door open, which was great for impressions. And they end up chatting with a guard because they found that Bishop was having a very aggravating conversation with a Moff military officer of the Imperials. It was not going all too well. They get let out because they're saying how they lost someone. And they're going to be coming after the thing they just sold for 169,000 credits. So there's some back and forth between Kato going to the security office, not able to find her. Then just let the see comes up with a plan of trying to like locate her. Nard manages to get access to some vents. Oh no, that was, I guess, after he tries to set up a trap, but when he goes back to the relic, finds out it was already taken by Leslie. She already had nabbed it. She was a fast one because he had rolled way too many threats. So then he called over to Nard, and Nard tries to help out. He sends in the mouse droid. Everyone's now top nemesis of the crew, as we've now learned at the end of the events of everything. And the mouse droid helps seal the vents to the outside and kind of create a more warm, heated atmosphere. That will essentially be problematic for everybody, or at least for Lasik to maybe try to flush her out. Uh, Hard to tell if it worked or didn't. Mason ended up agreeing to help the palace guards and whatnot fend off the Imperials, because as the Imperials um, start arriving, it's in a big show of force. Bunch of TIE fighters, TIE bombers, and a few transports. And Mason hops on one of the anti-airs and starts letting her rip, and he does all right, but he's not able to deter the inevitable landing party, which consists of a ton of stormtroopers, some sergeants, and in each of them was a dark trooper. The most common medium I think people have seen them in would be was Rogue One and the end of season 2 of The Mandalorian. Those things, and they're each Sorry, so I've heard. So oh, okay. Well, then maybe I maybe maybe I misread the synapsize. I thought I read that maybe it was death then. But yeah, Dark Troopers then were definitely Mandalorian. They're the cybernetic droid style, very imposing troopers, and they came with missile tubes. Fun. They start encroaching. The royal guards and stuff are doing a not bad job. They're pinning some numbers down, but there's just a lot of stormtroopers, and the stormtroopers are arguably better trained in comparison, because huts are huts. You know, there's that weird thing with the huts where they kind of hire competent people, but they're never like S tier type. Well, like A S tier. Like they're always just like they're decent soldiers, but they're never like, you know, you're never gonna remember them. And especially when the dark troopers start opening up the missile tubes, which start obliterating weapon, like the AA turrets and whatnot, which knocked Mason out of his. When they start punching holes in the walls of the building, just recklessly, and again, kind of part of the shock and awe. Mason eventually calls like a retreat, kind of starts barking orders, taking command of what's here. He gets them to kind of rush back in the eastern exit or entrance and kind of set up a, you know, like a refire hole type thing, like to try to like get another good spray on them, sort of. Not necessarily an element of surprise so much as just trying to leverage some type of advantage. Meanwhile, Kato eventually does what he needs to do, and he climbs into the vents, ventilation, and surprisingly tolerates the heat for someone who's aquatic, and managed to go through, and the dice finally started to work in his favor, perhaps amazingly so for the narrative. And he gets her attention and she agrees to kind of have a chat with him, sort of. And they kind of find a spot, which is, they end up kind of on opposite sides, a part of a wall that's been blasted out by the missile tube. So it's kind of like this big conclave style indent essentially in the wall, and they're on opposite sides of it, and they end up having a chat. Very well, very impassioned conversation, because she's definitely, I I could be mistaken, but I think everyone knows where she was coming from on things. We've seen the story building for a while of where she is and why she's finding the dark nature compelling of the artifact, and Kato is trying to assuade her against it, and trying to convince her that even things he's done, he doesn't want to give in to, that he's not going to go down that whole lifestyle, and you know, you have to resist and be, I can't remember what his underlying point was about. I don't know if there was still be a good guy for the sake of a good guy, or what the big, you remember? No, I don't remember the full selling point, but we did the one roll. It succeeded. She threw away the relic, tossed it down the conclave indent into the basically ongoing battle, which Mason was gradually losing. They used grenades. They like ripped open a light repeater blaster, did what they could. Sorry, what? So basically, that it was kind of like a lie, essentially, like it was a mirage of freedom. Okay. Yeah, that does sound familiar. Mason's losing. I do have to upload it. Sorry. This week was kind of hectic. I'll get it uploaded with today's episode as pretty much as quick as I can. Um, anyways, Mason's losing the battle. They've exhausted a bunch of stuff. Eventually, the troopers are getting so close, and I think a missile blew open most of the entranceway, if I remember, and did a bunch of damage. And we did a roll to see if Mason holds his steely nerves, and he failed. So he called that he was booking it, and that was Mason's appeal. He just kind of went, "I'm out." True, true, yeah. Basically, Mason bandwagon. Yeah. So he bails. Kato and the Zeke have a hug. and he eventually leads them all back, calls Nard out. They all retreat back to the ship, and the mouse droid comes back, which we find out later that it found something because it's a mouse droid and brought it back with it. The crew get in their two ships, take off, GTFO out there. They hit hyperspace. They're gone from the shit show that was unfolding on Narhaska. They'd escaped clean. That was the end. So, the kickoff of this session, we now see, as with Roll20, so I'll show the chat, we see Teth. Decent kind of getaway-ish type planet for a lot of criminals. Like an actual vacation type of spot, more or less. More so for the Hutts, but obviously a lot of adjacent people kind of get their privileges, and sometimes maybe that's a point of currency that can be used in negotiating deals. And above it is a starbase, which is moderately to fairly active. We see both the Poodoo and the Remembrance docked here. And I think we end up coming into a scene of the starbase's like bar or cantina with we'll definitely say the three of them. I don't know, it's up to them whether Lasik is there as well, but definitely at least the three of them. And you guys have basically just got here after just docking and everything from your short, probably like 12 or so hour hyperspace jump. And yeah, nothing, like obviously because you've been in hyperspace, nothing else has really been said yet of anything, everything that just went down a half day ago. So, what is that conversation like? How is 169,000? Well, it's the easiest to remember number, so. Bar, like you're in a cantina. Yeah, you're like you could be in like, yeah, you're in like a cantina, like a booth or something on one of the side walls or whatever. And it's a big canteen, relatively big canteen. It's a Starbase's cantina. So there's a good static hubbub of sound from everybody else here. That passive conversation volume. Okay. Dacia. Durgold's on the rise. It became to a subservient of the Huts. So technically, I guess always in theory, but probably less likely now compared to if you were doing a deal with another criminal group and you might want to, absolve yourself of any issues with it. But this one's pretty from the source, more or less. Oh, you don't have to. It is from the hut, so like if you're really like anti-hut and paranoid about it, you might do it anyways. But it's pretty much from the hut. They paid you pretty straightforwardly, so having to get it clean, seems low on the need part of it. It's just a matter of whether you want it. Right? Okay. Um. So a question. Well, one Mason roll destiny. You have two light in the dark so far. So let's see what you got. And now it's 2 and 2. Now the question, yeah, imagine that, right? So a little question, just to make sure it's clarified for hashtag meta unlocked. But do you mention what Bishop said about the artifact to the crew, Kato? Yeah. I don't. Yeah, I don't think you told them that she was after the relic. Uh, No, she mentioned your bounty. Mm. Mm. I'm trying to think of its lore of education. Yeah, it's gonna be make shit because as I was kind of looking at it, going, is there something I'm missing here? Like, I don't know where if they're actually made of something in particular or not. Um, well, potentially. I mean, the uniqueness can also just be because they're just really rare. Because I mean, the Empire maybe didn't really like droids a whole lot. And droids were a trade federation thing. They like their human easily controlled people because again empire was the emperor vader, they want people that are malleable by the force, not droids that are, although obedient, are always that unstable element. So yeah, sure, yeah, we'll go with fuck. We'll go with education. We'll make it like 4 purple. Oh, oh no. Oh, he got it. um I'm gonna have to think what those threat are though. That's kind of tricky. um you're able. Maybe it stirs on you for a little bit. I think they're maybe made of something relatively special. But I think it's most again they're mostly droids, so that's mostly why they weren't used too much. They're very particular and maybe in like a not experimental, but some sort of like R&D facility that just or maybe a storage center of R&D stuff that that the Empire never really used. They didn't put them into full production, so they're not like mass produced, but they're still reasonably produced. But they weren't pulled the trigger on to turn like hundreds into thousands or millions of them. They're just hundreds of them. Um, I I think there's probably a project lead that developed them, so a key engineer that is known for their work. Somehow you know them. Maybe well, you worked with the rebels, so maybe somehow the name came across a file, and now it's starting to make sense or something. So I don't have a name. I'll have to supplant something later. So we'll just have like placeholder for now. But so yeah, there's some doctor placeholder that was the lead on the project. I really don't know if the materials were too rare. I think they were heavily refined and like sophisticated engineering in that sense, but I don't know if the materials strictly were that rare necessarily. They're still just, maybe stuff that you normally see on ships that was refined down enough to fit into the shape of a droid. It's basically the concept. Like they were able to compress it enough to be practical in a silhouette 1 or 2 figure instead of silhouette 7 ships. Yeah, it's a lot of people are still just saying Republic right now. The new Republic hasn't fully taken hold. It's only been like I think we've established that this is only like a year and a half since episode 6, so this is still very infantile aftermath. Yeah, he also stole a weapon to keep him to remind you, or at least remind Mason, you stole something too out of that battle. Light repeating blaster. Muted. Uh, yeah, the one you didn't want to deliver when you arrived at Narhaska. The one you thought about and went, no, I'm not going to send that over, and then you went down onto the planet with let's see, you don't know what the message is. There was a message for Mason. Yeah, it's there in the ship inbox. No, he didn't say delete. He just said he didn't delete. Okay. Okay. Yeah, you can go through remembrance and check the message straight up. Sure. Okay. I don't personally think I really need to see a role for the cleaning. It's not to me like anything in particular needs to happen there. I think we just you find a way to clean the money. You can maybe say how you do it if you want to put some Kato flavor to it. Well, not the supplies. I'm talking the laundering. If you want to put any way of how you launder it, like I said, it's not super critical from my perspective for a scene, so it's not really too much I want to dwell on. You know what I mean? So it's like you can just kind of be like, I did it by blah. Okay, that's fine. I don't really it. Yeah, I don't really care too much out of it. We'll just you find a contact, maybe someone you knew previously or someone you're able to befriend, and you use an underworld source, and they kind of do it essentially for you. Um, Pretty much, maybe for a relatively inconsequential fee. Maybe they even owed you a favor for the hell of it. So there wasn't too much cost. You cashed in on favor, they claimed it. You're You get the money properly deposited into your account. There seems to be no issues with it. Your your account or the business account, whatever it is that you guys operate under, is now 169 grand richer. Nard's at 30. He just pulled a number out of his behind. It's about 50 grand and change each. Sort of. 50, 55. It's going to be on an even number because there's 4 grand left over after that. 56 and then 1 grand left over is what if you divided it, the whole thing up evenly to the 3 people. That look of thought. Yes, 169,000 for like upgrades and stuff. Mm, there was some conversation about upgrading the pistols, but I don't think anything was come to wholeheartedly. Okay. um, what supplies are you looking for the second part of things? What, like you said, you want to get some supplies for the upcoming mission. What do you mean by supplies? Okay. Well, so you have a spacesuit. I think if you want like torches, cutting torches, or tools, more of those. Because I mean, it'd be just gnar. Like if you're gonna do it as a group, maybe get some extra spare sets of those. Wouldn't be too bad though. I mean, you're looking at maybe like I guess like 1,000, like 500 a set for some extra tools for two. So 1,000. Cutting torches, or well, we can even just call them salvaging tools. So a lot of things that help dismantle other things. Yeah, for the most part. They'll yeah, 500 times two. They'll do most moderate stuff. Like if you want like really big industrial stuff to try to like shear ships in half, then we're gonna be talking bigger bucks. But I think you're more talking like stuff that you can dismantle in sections and then pack onto the poodoo, which is gonna be more of just a a man job. Yeah, so I think that would make sense. So on your travels throughout the starbase, there's a lot of unease around right now, and I think overhear a lot of um sort of casual conversations, hushed whispers, dismay that's kind of going on. because news of what happened at Narhaska is starting to reach here. Because since that was about a day or so ago, not very long, and it's not particularly great news. It seems like the Empire struck pretty heavily on Narhaska and didn't really get pushed back very well at all. And it sounds like the Star Destroyer got reinforced. Like the Star Destroyer maybe was like first respond and backup arrived and it made it, and then the Hutts also arrived the counter when they got the news and tried to respond as well, and it turned into a battle. And there's now a lot of concern and rumors that are starting to kind of pile up that this is kind of more so because we've already seen some of it up until now, but very little tidbits and stuff of it. But combined with Starport Neon, which was also another incident, the battle that you guys salvaged out of near Kaga, which was also another relatively recent battle, is it seems like the Hutts are now going into a more full full war involvement in the conflicts in the galaxy. That they're going to take a fight to the Empire and even the Rebel Alliance slash Republic, as it's kind of turning into the Republic. And apparently, some big state of address was made not too long ago, maybe even just a couple hours ago, by Topol about how the Hutts won't stand for this and that they are not going to be pushed over. They are going to defend these lands, and yeah, they're going to bring fight back. So you catch a lot of that, and I think for now that's about it. But just keep that in mind from your shopping, laundering, and shopping. Actually, I think another little tidbit. I think maybe when you're going to the launderer, he probably has like maybe a sample of, or at least a feed on a like a bounty board for bounty hunters and mercenary work and whatnot. And um, that board is pretty empty right now. Well, like and there probably isn't timestamps of when all of them were gone, but like it just seems like there's a with all the stuff you were hearing, and then as you see this, there's because like maybe the only things left for jobs seem to be all like no, it'd be more things like they're simple cargo runs that are low risk, or checkups on outer colonies or other weird kind of like off social type things, like everything military and conflict oriented that you would expect to see here, raid this place, take out this person's wanted, job by this nation or whatever. There's none of that. Sure. Okay. Sure. Does Kato have any concern about the more galactic politics of what this means? Does that have any dent on things? A loosely three-way war. Most like Huts will mostly fight Imperial, but they're also not too happy. They're not going to take any. They're not going to be bullied by the Republic either. This is not. They're like one of those like we're going to fight the Imperials, but if the Republic get in our way, we're going to take them down just the same. It's kind of a the it's like kind of like the Beast Awakens type of phrase. Yeah, sure enough. Um, Mason. So you make it back to the Remembrance. Again, it's nice, more refreshing, mild temps. And there's actually there's a few messages. Two of them are for you. One of them is to Kato. Okay. So you get a message from I gotta make sure I get names right because we've been through so many names. Celeste. And they're actually both from her, as it turns out. Similar signature, basically. The first one is because the last message you sent her had that weird like cliffhanger thing. It's like, and I forget what you said. It's like I might be sick or something. Um, yeah. So there's the initial reply to that, which is, what the fuck do you mean by sick? And then the message just kind of goes on with, anyways, look, there's some Republic people were approached by some gang or something of you people out there called the Quasar Riders, and they said that you guys have some relic of the Emperors you found out of the Death Star. So the Republic's going is looking into it. They might be on your butt soon. Watch your six. The second one is, really, you're not going to respond after that. um, and it Uh, but it's just, no, so this one, the second one seems to be relatively recent. Like you actually got it, um, probably just like an hour ago. But it's basically, so you're not really just going to respond after that. Okay, so things just keep getting bad. Whatever happened out there with the Huts and the Imperials you might be hearing about, it's now going to become a big shit show. We're Republic doesn't have enough bandwidth while we're trying to form a government to deal with all of this, and now there's all this instability and war. Tell me what the fuck is what you guys are up to, and tell me you're not getting involved in all of this shit because this is going to be a mess. Okay. So you send that message away. Fair enough. But um, I don't know. That's up to you. Do you know what a force sensitive is? I think we kind of had this question before, and I think it was kind of not quite. It's really vague in terms of any understanding. Or did we? Because I think we rolled. I can't remember how. That was a while ago because that was back when Hood was around on the ship and you were delivering him. So I can't remember what we ruled for your knowledge. I think it was not extensive by any means, but I can't remember if you had basic. Right. God. Like the sick was there. Right. Okay. Sure. Right. Yeah. Lovely. Okay. So you send those messages away. Um, Nard, you want to have a conversation with the Sikh? Yeah, back here. You find her in that little uh crew shared area with the what was the table that Kato had installed? The chess one, right? It wasn't. Yeah, yeah, Dejaric. Yeah, so she's muddling around with that and trying to like play a game against probably some AI. Yeah, it's been a long week. I'm all right, I guess. Has it? Wow, when was the last time we spoke? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I just kind of want to forget about it. It's just, I mean, he did this and then he did that, and then yeah, just I don't know. I don't even know. Yeah, you think I'm younger than I am? Hmm. What beast? There was a Rancor in that ship? Holy shit! Wow, what's the rain car look like? Wow. Man, you hide all the fun stuff from me. Oh, did I? Oh, they were after that thing then? Wow. What other Oh, yeah. Sensitive to what? Is that code word for being a nice person? Oh, that kind of makes sense. I mean, I don't know. It feels like I can feel strange things, and they always like small moments that pass, and I don't know if I feel connected. I mean, you guys don't tell me everything all the time. I don't feel connected to you guys all the time. Mm, you want me to meet another stranger? You know, this kind of sounds like when Kato made me touch that damn thing. What kind of evil things did they do? Oh, I mean, the super is cool. Not the soldier part, though. Mm, Captain Han, Can you tell Captain Juan that he's a prick? Because he wanted to give me this thing that made me touch this thing, and then this thing was like, it'll help me not be your slave anymore. And I'll have all this power and stuff, and then he tries to take it away, and then he convinces me that it's like not the right way. So he's like telling me all this stuff that's like opposite to each other and everything, and I don't know which side's up or down anymore. Oh, hmm. Thanks, nerd. Yeah, yeah, I guess it does. All right, is Kato ever going to pay me? I'm trying to free my friends. All right, well, I mean, I need to stay around until I can free my friends, and then I mean, I don't know. You gotta find them work or something, or I mean, freeing them isn't gonna do anything just on its. I don't know. We would need to find a job. We need to get money then to live. Then I guess, and figure out what we can do that what people what's useful right now. Without just becoming slaves again. I mean, with all the trouble we get into, we probably could. more people around here couldn't hurt, but I don't know. It's not a lot of bunks anymore. All right, good. I liked it. And I think that we're just a couple minutes early, we'll take our break. We'll be back in 10, guys. Stay with us. More Star Wars Ashes. us in. All right, welcome back. We had our break. We're now going to move on with the second half of Star Wars Ashes, episode 18, something something salt side. So you've got your supplies, you've laundered money, and you return to the Remembrance with a little shopping cart of shit. Okay. Everybody else is still there at the Remembrance for the time being. Going by like everything that just happened. So anything you do upon arrival, anything that happens there? Okay. Mm. I mean, the tools. Yeah. I mean, okay. Yeah. Because basically the idea is that once you're there salvaging, you'll be out in spacesuits and presumably having the ships in very close proximity, and then just kind of getting stuff into the big canister part of the poodoo, the like the well, yeah, the canister, the I forget what they call it. The anyways, that part, yeah, the cargo hold. There was another word I was thinking of, but whatever. And you can just basically get it in there with relative ease, and then yeah, you could always just put really special items that will cause you another whole season of grief of storylines into the into the remembrance. Yeah. Yeah. So pretty much the yeah, yeah, exactly. So that would probably be your idea, is more or less. I mean, unless your goal is a little different, because I mean, you do, in terms of salvage, there is still also the battleship there. So unless your plan is to do something more with that, then maybe you need. You end up coming out of hyperspace. You're just a little YT 1760, but then around it, just attached and kind of almost like a transformer fusion, is the Kaldabi battleship around you. Right? Just for that one shot, you basically have a little mini Death Star cannon, super laser. Hmm. Interesting. Yeah. Um. Yeah. Does any other important exchanges happen, or do you like check your messages? Yeah. Okay. So you actually there's actually two messages for you. Like one basically just came in. So the first one is, it doesn't say who it's from, and you don't recognize the code. All it ends up saying is, "I'm pleased by the progress you made in our bargain. I sense I sense a great change that has occurred. Although it's not quite what I wanted, you can consider your debt to Tuopol erased." And you can actually go into your character sheet and remove that obligation. If you want, since you stated earlier, if you want to create a new obligation for the Seek, you can do that after a session or whatever, to throw in something that can also equate there. But at least that obligation of yours is zilch, nilpois. The, uh, the other message is, I guess it probably make most sense that actually, I guess it'd actually be from Heral Talon, your old buddy. Heral. Yeah, yeah. The soup basilisk. Um, so it's just a message that's like, hope things are going well. Things are getting really crazy in the last handful of hours. It looks like the Huts are geared up pretty hard for war. Uh, you might need this, you might not, but I just thought I'd shoot these your way. If you're in the area, we'll share a drink again. And it basically ends up ending with a link to basically a link to like a not discount, but a bunch of postings for ships. Because he had that preface like things are getting kind of hectic. You might, what you have might not be enough type of thing. Here's something to think about, some good deals I found for you. Well, there's your list right there, actually. Yeah. I don't know how well the font is. Uh yeah, I was like, I don't know how much you guys want to zoom in. I'll try to get some increased fontage here. We'll try 26 on all of them, but it was a little good luck with that. Uh, there. I think this guy's gonna have to move over here while I enlarge this. Which means this has to come over. Oh, that doesn't fully fit. Put it there. All right, not the simplest, but we have it. But he gives you, yeah. So there is 7 listings with a bit of range to them that he's forwarded for you to give some thoughts on. And I gave some basic stats to compare for their kind of some of their pros and cons, and the going price for them in brackets is what they normally go for, new. So there's a point of like, how much they've come down. And yeah, you can always ask me some questions and I'll try my best to. I figured this guy. uh some not, some more than others. This isn't too big. This isn't too bad. This, yeah. It is quite tiny, but it gives you some range. So like conveniently your friend has yeah, given you, so it's like if you want to kind of continue on a similar path and just get an upgrade, if you want to start more going to more of a lighter strike craft, but then also some ranges if you want to go bigger on salvage or transport stuff because of the whole of what you guys normally do. You have some more stuff that actually has capacities, and then you have some really outlandish ones on the bottom, but they're still there because you never know what could be useful. So, but anyways, those are your two messages. Sure, sure. Your Kato senses tingling, yeah. Right. Yeah, sure. Fair enough. So what is the next going plan for everybody? Where do we need to head to next? Sure. Yeah. Yeah. If there's nothing else that people want on their list to do, we basically can cut to a scene as the two of you detach from the starbase, get clear of all the traffic around the starbase, and the stars pull, and you guys are in hyperspace. What was the length for this one, Kato? Since you're the encyclopedia of the times and distances, it's in your sheet somewhere, I think. Unless I go, oh, but that puts you on a hyperlane, so it's probably 9. Because Hoska was isolated from the main hyperlanes. Okay, so 9 days. All right. Now the next important questions. What is everyone doing for 9 days? Okay. Is that a mod or a crafting role that you're okay. Or an attachment, sorry. An attachment would be the yeah. Okay, so you're just installing that. Okay, so you're installing the attachment. No rules necessary because it's just parts and money. So that's all it is. Once we, yeah. Does Mason hand over his guns? Wow. Mhm. If you, yeah. Yeah. I forget what the script code is, but in the modifier section, I think you can put the +1 advantage. I just don't remember what it codes as. I'll have to try to find it later for you. Yeah, that's fine. It should show up in the rolls at least, so that we'll be reminded of that. So basically, it'll make it easier to hit with the two guns because you need your 2 advantage. So you basically always get that guaranteed 1 advantage. So that means you technically only need to roll one other, right? Sure. Nope. Damn it. Yeah, we can tweak that later. So, so you do that. Anything Mason does for his 9 days in further. You're at hyperspace, so you can't get a dialogue because we're not doing the Disney way of doing it. Rat, that's gone. He's just he, yeah. Oh god. I don't know. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, you can ready a message if you want to send the Celeste when you do get out, and it basically sends it out as soon as it has connection to the HoloNet type of thing. I mean that type of stuff can be done. So you can basically just have it like it's ready to send, and then as soon as the computer has a connection, it just pitches it basically. Um, you make it sound like you're forced to say that anymore. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, 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 yeah. Fair enough. Kato, your 9 days. How did those go? Any other things you want to force the sleep to do? She's unsure of you, but she listens. Yeah. Hmm. She asks what a lightsaber is. Yeah, because you said it earlier. So I tried to be nice. I said laser sword originally when you encountered her, but does that mean I'm a Jedi? You think the Jedi are a bad thing? What would you do if you could do there, but the types of things that they could do? Okay. uh, against two purple. Okay. No issues of deception. The threat would be me maybe. Yeah, it's tricky with that. It's tricky because some can undermine the original role, but I mean, okay, that's fine. Sure. Yeah, just one threat, so not too heavy on it, but sure, somewhat towards that idea, that tone, sure. What do you? Does that mean you're afraid of people like me? Okay, I think that suffices. I think that's a fine scene. Oh, okay, sorry. You didn't even tell me there was a rancor in it. Alston J. Well, two A's. Alston J. You're going to pay for my friends to be free? Oh, shit, I don't. Yeah, that's Kirk has a hut. Yeah. He's just like, I had to find a job for them then. Shit, what am I going to do now? God, when were you going to tell me this? She's just like having a moment of like hyperventilating. She's like putting her hand like, well, not through her hair because she's a Twi'lek, so I guess it's kind of like just like holding onto her like Leku for a moment, like trying to like, oh my god, I wasn't prepared for this already. I thought this was gonna take years. I mean, maybe it's more like an emotionless smile. I guess it'd be a neutral smile, where you just kind of, sure, go with that if you want. Do you think that fits? Sure. Yeah, she panics for a little bit, and has to try to digest this information. She's like, oh, and yeah, I don't know. I guess it takes her a little bit to kind of come down off of that. There's that kind of mix of joy and happiness, and she's, has smiling, maybe some tears in the eye, of like, oh my God, they're gonna be finally free, But then it's just kind of like there's that, yeah, like, fuck, what do I do? There's like, if they're free, like, we need to figure out how to like give them like home, shelter, and job and stuff. Like, they're now like out in the wilderness essentially. So she's kind of has like a bit of a freak over that probably takes her like a good half of the rest of the day to really like settle with that information, that like bombshell. Yeah, yeah, kind of is, kind of not. Anything you want to know extra with the ship information and email? for the remaining 9 days. Well, any like questions or anything you want to go over with any of the ships? So it's basically like a used car postings. The ships. Yeah, sorry, not the remembrance. The ships is the email from her all. Yeah, any stuff from there. Because it's basically a bunch of like you. It's essentially like I said, a bunch of used car adverts. And not really any of the ships are coming off like clean. Like there's you with used cars, there's always that kind of, oh, that car looks decent and looks like it's in not bad shape, but there's either an unspoken or sometimes the sellers are actually honest and they drop the bombshell of what the issue is. Because with used cars, it's always kind of like, oh great, what are they not mentioning? What am I gonna have to fucking pay for? So yeah, anything you want to go over with that while you've been probably generally, I'm assuming at least skimming it for 9 days. Sure. It's yeah, it's not a whole lot. YZ, this one? Oh, the 99. What other one? Yeah. Okay. Most of them. Basically everything. No, that's the biggest. Well, we'll go. So the TL 1200 transport one up here. Um, so it's a moderate upgrade, a fair upgrade from what you currently have. It has like almost 10 times the encumbrance in terms of storage if you want to keep doing the freight salvage stuff. Um, not as well a handling as your current ship, and it will take most of you to actually crew it, but it still is what it is. The information provided either through the ad listing or maybe a little bit elaborated on by Heral is that it's not in great shape. It was formerly used as it was kind of retrofitted into a yacht for some uh, potential kind of eccentric person that wanted, the least pure to have privilege. So they kind of took a freighter and just made it look good instead of actually having to buy an actual yacht. So it's basically kind of a bit of a fixer upper in a certain sense because you're going to kind of have to undo changes to make it into a proper freighter again. So I think the idea is that like the cargo holds, either most of them or like half of them have been, one of them was changed into just like a giant lounge, and maybe the other one is still even what has been used maybe as like some sort of uh, sports, like one of those like half base basketball court type things that people do so they can have like little like 2v2s and stuff like that, that type of idea. So it's gone through some changes and it's not in, it'll need a lot of extra TLC to make that one work. The other major. So we have the YZ775 medium transport. So that's going not too bad. Decent price, still, not so great handling, but most freighters as you go up are not going to have great handling. So it's just going to be kind of a nature of the thing. Still going to take a bit of a hefty amount of crew. Pretty common, generally shipped for this size, so it's pretty standard run of the mill. Might be easier to blend in with because you probably see a lot of other people use it. And the kind of the benefit is that the price is pretty good, especially because it normally goes for half a mil, and it's only going for 100,000 because the seller is really desperate to get rid of it. So they're basically bottoming out the price to try and do that, and they're like really eager to try to find someone that would be able to take it off their hands. Maybe they own some other businesses that they'd send some goodwill on, as well as kind of a show of good faith if it was taken. The YV929, this guy, it doesn't have as much capacity. So the thing about this one is it's an armed transport, so it's a bit more of technically a little better than the Remembrance. The thing is, this is probably shifting more into like an aggressive type of thing. It's actually quite well armed, weapons wise. Um, so and otherwise, I think relatively decent all round. Not too much customization you can do with it though. It's only got like one hard point, but it's not as bad on the handling. It's only -1. It's actually relatively limber, not as much as the Remembrance, but it still kind of holds up. But it's you're not increasing your capacity much. You're not going to be doing the salvaging thing. This is more going to be taking advantage of its passengers, and like if you want to shift more towards bounty hunting or personnel smuggling jobs, basically like more hood stuff, basically like what you had with that early on, right? So yeah, because you're only increasing your capacity by like 10 or 20 or whatever it is. So yeah, the cargo is not much there. It's more about the people or defending itself essentially, because it's also quite well armed. Um, the two big boys at the bottom, just to kind of be clear. So these are interesting things that Harel really kind of pointed to as kind of kind of a rare opportunity, but they do have their present downside. Partly because they would both require a crew. That's a bit of a logistical thing, but I mean, you could always hire people or find some way to work around that. Although that is still a bit of a hurdle. The thing is, like, these would be huge, like a huge path to go to. Like, you're not just getting like a bit of an upgrade. You're going like huge, basically. You want to like really kind of step up, and they're going for some really bare bone prices, considering like the Corellian ship is like 1.2 mil, and the Empire ship or the Imperial ship goes for like 3 mil, and they're like not even like a tenth of that price, right? They're really really low. The issue is, as it will sometimes come up in the market, and it's like the besides the crews, the only other noticeable drawback is that they're hot. They were stolen because someone has no investment in them, so they're just trying to turn a quick buck. So it's kind of if you're willing to deal with that downside, you got a big ship for cheap. And that's kind of the gist, I think, more of them. I mean, I can go through the other two ships anyways, I guess, for the fuck of it. The pursuit craft. Again, also because I mean it's like basically a really large starfighter essentially, so a tight crew, relatively fast. Not necessarily the greatest handling, but it's fast because it's speed 5, which definitely outclasses almost all the rest of these vehicles. So it definitely switches more towards um giving you guys firepower and whatnot. It's just that it's really, really tiny on the total interior. I mean, the remembrance is pretty tiny too, so this wouldn't be too much of a change from that. So you're not going to be doing salvaging stuff. You're going to be doing hit jobs basically against targets that are obviously going to defend themselves. Apparently, I think the main thing Haral puts on as a note to it is that it was once owned by a bounty hunter that was killed in the job. So the ship itself has a bit of a name for itself. The pursuit craft. Then the Gozani armed transport. It's pretty well armed. It's pretty up there. I think it has the most encumbrance of any of these ships. No, the Corellian has the most, but it's also the stolen capital ship. So this as a transport has the most encumbrance, so it gives you a mixture of being much more armed and capable to defend yourself. Incorporating the handling all the people all the people associated. You still might need a few extra for a crew, but some of those are mostly just gunner positions, so it's not usually too bad. It's easy to shift people around, but it maintains a bunch of. It gives you that 1,000 stuff encumbrance that if you want to maintain and still go really big on the salvage stuff, you have a lot of room for that since it would be 1,000, which is like 100 or sorry, it's like 15 times what you have now, roughly. But yeah. Mm, yeah, yeah. That's pretty much the main rundown of them. Actually, he also offers. I think Harald also offers that if you do go and try to go after the stolen ships, he could probably help you crew them. He knows some people. Okay. 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 So you guys you spend it those ways as we discussed for your 9 days, and yeah, we see you guys exit hyperspace, the both ships, the Remembrance and the Pudu, into the debris field of uh, the battle that had once been here quite some a little bit ago, and yeah, you kind of settle into that. It's a somewhat little bit more sparse than it had been last time you were here. Does seem like maybe some other people had jumped on the opportunity in the last I think the last with all the travel, I think it's been like what, a month or so now? Month, yeah, a month, almost two. That sounds about right. So there's definitely clearly been some other scavenging that's going on. The Imperial ships have definitely taken the brunt of it. I think I think we see as some of the broken wedge shapes of the Star Destroyers that like a lot more of the engines are now missing in the back, both the exhaust and like parts of the interior for them. And in some sections, the debris itself is also a little thinner. So I guess a lot of people just kind of, I guess, found good stuff in just the floating into the space. So a lot of it becomes a little easy, a little smoother to traverse for Mason. And I'm assuming Laseek's probably back at the controls now, probably. And yeah, what is the course of action? Basically, do we want to have people roll perceptions, either individually or just one person take point and see? Okay. Hmm. That's a little bit up to you. So it depends on what quality of stuff you're looking for. Like again, Nard just said if just looking for scrap, but if you want something that's like some sort of big ticket thing and like come home with like a prize, like that makes it harder. Like where's the spectrum of what everyone feels they're looking for? Okay. Yeah, it was difficult to approach. That's probably a little easier now. But it's also, like I said, jumped on by other scavengers and has taken its turn being ripped apart. There was some Republic. So basically, I think the range would be like two difficulty would be scrap, three difficulty would be maybe engines or other major components of smaller, simpler ships, and then four difficulty would be if you're looking for like some sort of single big, decent, noteworthy piece off of like maybe one of the capitals ships. That's basically what you're deciding on. All right, you get a blue die, four purple. Um, right, right. Um, kind of have an idea for the threat. Um, yeah, I can't think of anything else really good, so I think we'll go with that. So, I think so. You're trying to look for like the prize, the top dollar thing. Which I think will be. It'd be on one of the on like the Republic capital ship. Probably like a chunk of its forward section that's intact. Um, oh yeah, because it would be a Moncal cruiser, um, a Star Cruiser, the good old MC-80s, and I think it's probably like maybe something like the turbo laser batteries. You think wouldn't be too bad to get off, and those are big, heavy ship weapons that could probably do decent if they're intact enough for other people to potentially use. I think that would probably make sense. Capital ship turbo lasers. The threat is so I think your sensor range is probably too short for it because I think you're only at short range. But the threat is you see like essentially the searchlights of another ship here. Squatters, right? Yeah. At the moment, it'd be a little tricky. You're kind of far out. You would have to move closer and risk being spotted in turn. Because right now you see the lights, which is basically your only real residual of seeing them. Because you're seeing obviously like a moving, obviously not an accidental or just a flash off of like a lens flare from the sun or whatever. Like you're seeing clearly what would be that, but you don't really have a good feed on the ship. You're just seeing the effects of it. Okay. What do we say? uh, you don't get a response. is that a is that a lie or a truth? I don't know. Maybe you're bluffing. I don't know. All right. Let's see an average charm check. Average is two. Average is two. It's like easy, average, hard. Um, daunting or formidable, then daunting, I think is 5. What to do? Yep. Spend the string, get the upgrade. Some some abilities work like that. Just yeah, maybe we'd start that by you investing in something and start getting paid for it, like bulk Bogan's business or something. Yeah. The purple dice were completely blank. No successes or failures anywhere to be seen. Just a smattering of advantage. Um but the thing is you failed, so you don't really get like did they just follow up with it? You want me to make it a big titty vampire too, just for you? Oh, there's been others. There's been others. That's not even the like. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Hmm. So I guess it would be you get a reply that's just like well, if you're here for what we're if you're here for what we're here for, just stay a distance away. Let the castle jockeys do our work. We're not gonna, we don't want to have to take this to the next level, okay? Like there's like a, clearly like adversarial tone to it. They were at the meeting with Major Sill over the droid contract. No, I mean, not the ever. You haven't heard from them since the battle either. Let's see if I can go. Mm, that did end up giving them Della. Della. No, no, not Della, just Della. You sound familiar. Don't recall you really helping us bail out of that shit show that went down in the Roche asteroids. Where did you end up wandering off to? Major. Ah. Look, whatever your excuses are, like that, we came out of that pretty beat up. You guys had booked it after we had actually had some pleasant talks, and now you're coming in and trying to take over our scrap. Uh, it's really kind of hard to trust you, Huam. You should probably just stay over there and find something of your own. Leave this to us, essentially. At least that front broken end of the Moncal cruiser. So it's a complicated advantage. It's an advantage of we're not blasting you out of the sky right now. You know us and a kind of friendly, but they also are still kind of protective of their actual squatting rights. You contact the Poodoo. It's fine. Nope. You'd have to move closer. There's a pause. You know, how much? Yeah, and we're negotiating, so how much? You'll probably only fit one on the Poodoo. They're pretty big, and if you get enough of the assembly that integrates with the ship, so it's not, it's probably you're probably just gonna get the one big boy. So I mean, let's see a negotiation. It'd be against three purple, but I'm going to flip if you don't. I don't know how else to do it. I don't know if there's are heavy turbo lasers right now. I think that's a. I'm trying to find the answer because now I'm really curious. Light, medium, heavy. Oh, there are heavy. Okay, it's just like I guess it's probably how many turret breach for slow firing. Yeah, there could be heavies. There are such a thing. I was wrong. Okay. If you get a bunch of, you can't flip two destinies. I mean, you have your special. Oh, yeah. You could do you can do a flip, and then if you have an ability, I mean, of course they stack. Yeah, 100%. Oh my God, you're actually getting powerful in this game and spending XP. Oh no, it's true. Yeah, should have had Kato die before. Damn it. No, just until yeah. Okay. Straight success. No extra successes, no threats, no advantage, just straight through, as if it was D&D. So there's that pause, and they go 22. All right, you can have a turbo laser. Then you're leaving, right? Sounds good, Huam. Okay. And on that note, we can end the session there. Avoided conflict. Right. True. If if not if not, this is what you can do. You can do that. You're finally talking about. You can strap a big gun to the Remembrance, a turbo laser, and then yeah, and then the ship is done. You sell it for scrap, and you move on to the next ship. Yeah. Well, thank you all for being here. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Uh, stay tuned for next week. We'll jump into 19. Don't know what shenanigans quite be. Could be anything at this point. I guess we're gonna have to wrap up some stuff and get everyone back to Neon. And aside from that, I will be back Wednesday as usual. Don't know if it'll be Wild West or No Pixel. Depends if I get in the queue. And that's about it. Take care, everybody.